Okay, we're live. Welcome back to the Scent Spotlight, the show that highlights the amazing creators that are doing awesome things on Scent and around Scent. Today's guest is super special. I've been looking forward to talking with this creator for a long time. They first joined Scent back in 2018, and they were one of the first individuals to really open my eyes when it comes to digital art and crypto art. Specifically, they really helped me peek behind the scenes at the process behind all of these amazingly intricate and detailed works of art. Their style is hyper unique as well. I like to describe it as this bourbon acid pop, but I'm really honored to be able to speak with Clay Cal 303 on today's Spotlight. So welcome to the show.
How you doing, Matthew?
I'm doing pretty good. So I'll ask you the question that I ask everyone, but could you introduce yourself to Scent?
Yeah, no problem. I go by Clay Cal 303. I'm a multimedia digital artist that specifically works with illustrations. And like Matthew said, I have this slick, clean, psychedelic pop art. Really have no clue what it is myself. Still kind of forming as I go. All the people I've met on Scent are amazing. And the way I found Scent was through the Trust app. And, I was just strolling around on there and ended up finding Scent and giving it a try. And, now I'm here with you on this podcast.
Dude, I'm so happy that you are on here. And just like since you joined, I need to flag this, but your fan art has just been like, it's awesome. And it's so cool that I've been able to collect it and scoop that up on Known Origin specifically. I just want to shout that out, like as a fan and a collector. But the question I really want to ask you is, especially with your work being so psychedelic and trippy, like what aspects of yourself or your personality or your life experiences are reflected in the pieces of art that you're creating?
Yeah, so what most people would probably assume when they see my art is probably that I'm doing psychedelics all the time, which is totally not true. So the way that it ties into my life was when I was younger, I had psychedelic experiences. That was something I did. It taught me a lot, helped me grow, and it brought a lot of creativity to my artwork. But at the same time, there's things you have to do to work through that, and it's been like a journey as it's unfolding, if I could say it like the best way to put it. But mainly I make that artwork as a way to not do the psychedelics. So psychedelics are just something that I think it's one of those things that's like people don't really want to talk too much about it. Obviously, there's legal things about it, but a lot of people out there have had experiences with them and they're unable to share it. So, with my art, it's almost a way of like bringing people into that world without having them have to, do crazy mind altering drugs, trying to like figure out what reality is, and then come back and have no clue how to fix yourself or something. So it's like almost like me showing them an experience that they can have through the art, but at the same time, they don't have to do those things, I guess.
Pulling from like those experiences that you previously had. I mean, I too, when I was younger, I had several experiences with a couple of different psychedelic substances, and they were incredibly formative, powerful, very, very, very powerful, as you can probably relate. And it's so hard to, like you said, to describe, to really talk with, to a bunch of people. I mean, if you live in a certain part of the world or certain parts of the world, I guess it's easier. But like where I'm at in Asia, like there is zero common ground to talk about those sorts of substances. It doesn't exist over here. So it's hard to really talk to anyone. And I'm not sure if it's the same case for you, but like looking at your work, I do feel like that sort of, not nostalgia, because there's not like anything painful, but it is like looking at your art kind of transports me back to like those points in my life where I was able to engage with those substances, enjoy them, and have those experiences. So, I mean, for me personally, that's the experience I have. And it's pretty cool that that's actually what you were going for and what you are going for with your work.
Yeah, it's been a journey for me, in the beginning with my, like when I started the crypto art thing, I had just gotten back into like my artistic stuff. I just started doing my thing full time of art. I, quit the job and I was like, I'm going to go full in. And I was like, feeling so creative. And I was like, I'm going to make all this stuff. I started with paintings and, I just basically like lost with direction to do, like to put my artwork, in a way I wanted to go with it. So what happened was, after a while messing around with like different digital aspects and stuff, I eventually got to the point where I'm like, okay, what am I good at? What am I not good at? And then I look at it, and illustration was something I was good at. There was like experiences I had in I guess you can call it the counterculture, the festival culture, those things like the colors, the family, the connection of people,
Yeah, but I wanted to get to your process, and I think that you're starting to touch on that. Like you were one of the first creators that I came across that like really kind of pulled the curtains back on your process, like the tools that you use, like the progress that you go through from like initial just sketches and outline to like the actual finished project or product. And that was so enlightening for me to see, like I mentioned. And I'm just wondering, like, how has your actual process evolved? Like, what sort of tools are you using? Are you incorporating anything new these days? And then, like, looking out longer term, are there any other tools that you like to adopt or styles that you'd like to try your hand at?
Yeah, the tools with my process, it's amazing. When I, first got into digital art, I just, started with just that a pad, like a digital pad that you could just, basically it's like you could draw on it the same way you would on paper. So that kind of helped me like take the physical aspect of my process of sketching and, transfer it into the digital realm. After, doing that for a while, I obviously needed some more practice and stuff like that. So I kind of like fell back from that and like did a little reevaluation. I was like, oh, maybe I should, try using some different tools. So I started messing around with different apps and stuff like that on the phone, because like the way our world's going is like everything's on the phone, and like, no one wants to clunk a giant laptop around or whatever just to do some art. So I was like, maybe I can do some stuff with phone apps. And those are some things that like really intrigue me, because the things you can do on these apps and the art you can create is just, it's amazing to me. But at the same time, I don't know if it takes the same amount of skill or, talent to create the art that looks amazing as like someone that has like fine art skills. So like other tools and stuff I'd like to use, or just, I would like to see like people make apps that are help artists to be able to create art on the go, and other things I want to do with the process and stuff. It's like weird. When I got into crypto art, it's like slowly, like I'm losing more of the physical. I don't use pencils too much anymore and stuff like that. And it's almost like bittersweet. It's like the digital stuff and just the applications and stuff, it makes the process more efficient. And I noticed like now that I'm like fully into the creative process, I'm just coming up with ideas over and over, and I need like a way to efficiently put those ideas out. I'm not saying that every piece of art that I make off of these new tools or something different is going to be something like worth something or great, but it adds, value to your own skill set and growth as an artist.
Totally. Bringing up the digital tools and specifically like the mobile apps that are coming out. I mean, I've seen a couple artists like Vesigal, and I think over in Africa, Nigeria, Oshinachi is like using Microsoft Word to create amazing things. And I'm not sure if he's doing that on Microsoft Word on mobile, but it's amazing the trend of like what these devices are capable of. And I think we're just going to see so much experimentation around there, and just like cross-pollination of just like, oh shit, you can do that with that. That's sort of like what I'm expecting. And just when people realize that they have the ability to make these amazing products with that brick that's in their pocket, I just think we're going to see such a explosion of amazing art out there. And then folks like yourselves that have this talent to create these amazingly just arresting images. I think you guys are, dude, you're like set on a rocket ship that I see personally, like as a admirer and a collector, just like ready to blast off, if not already like starting to head towards the stratosphere. But like, I mean, you're at a really unique vantage point too, in crypto art, because you're there in the beginning. I mean, you're on Super Rare, Known Origin. From your perspective, like how have you seen the crypto art space kind of emerge, develop, and like where do you see it heading?
Personally, for me, the way I see it emerging is I tokenized my first piece on some random, I think it was like FanBits or something, and it was just my first experience of it, and the whole aspect of being able to just put your art out there, digitally, quick, efficient, and you're able to just be able to sell it, and just the contract takes care of it. It's amazing. I don't think a lot of the artists in the space right now realize how beneficial that is. Before it was like you had to go through all these different things and these physical, it's like now you can just shoot it out. The way I see it, crypto art emerging though here in the future, it's kind of difficult to say, but I really see it as, no one likes KYC and stuff like that, but it's coming to a point where it's almost like more beneficial for the market to actually grow. Personally, that's just my opinion.
Mm.
As for, it going into the mainstream, it's something that I see that is going to take off, but it's going to take figuring out the whole model of what the actual token is when you purchase it. And like for us in the crypto space, we know it. We know what we own. We love it. We understand the whole digital process, but the outside world is like, I have no clue how it's going to emerge out there. I feel like there's going to be some, artist that comes in here and just somehow or has that, that revolutionary style of somewhat, and just the people just see it and then they'll just, flood in. For marketplaces and stuff, I think everybody's like on track doing, what should be done. I really like Super Rare with the royalty model and stuff like that. I'm not quite sure like how to use that platform though. In the beginning, I was putting my stuff on Super Rare because I was like, these are one-offs, and stuff like that. And the reason I quit tokenizing on Super Rare was because I felt like it was like that is like where the highest quality art goes. That's where how do you call it, like artists that have already emerged and they already have a name and they have a style and a quality, and they pay attention to that, the finer things of art, to be able to, that's what I would call something super rare, and let's see, like Known Origin, I really like them. I feel like they're going to blow up because I don't know, their UX, UI, all that is just, it's just set up in a way that just feels nice for artists. I mean, that's my own opinion, but that's the one that I see really taking off, you know.
Dude, there's so much to unpack there. There's a couple threads I'd like to touch on. I mean, you brought up the KYC. I think we could go back to that. How do you see KYC applying to like crypto artists? Like, what do you mean by implementing or introducing KYC is probably beneficial for the space? That's interesting.
I guess when I say KYC, I'm saying it in a way for as artists coming on into the platform, and I notice a lot of the platforms are now doing a little bit longer process and stuff. You know, how they pick who they want on their platform and stuff like that. But the KYC is just knowing your customer, you know, and that's the thing. I don't know who it is, what they want, or anything, you know. So I understand why people have a problem with the KYC and stuff, and how it's, you know, not really like, you know, the decentralized vibe or whatever. But I feel like at this point, like, we've all lived in this giant centralized system forever. And, you know, Bitcoin came in, they brought all this decentralization, and it's like, you know, we're all balls to the wall, like, let's fucking do this, man. And like, you know, when, you know, the 10 years came by and Bitcoin hit that 20K, everybody ran in here like, oh yeah, you know. And it's like, when you look at it, that boat kind of has sailed. You know, it's still going to be there, but now we kind of like got to, you know, look back and like realize we operate in a centralized setting. You know, we've always grown to that, and like, I feel like a lot of people in crypto just aren't willing to accept that there needs to be people that are willing to lead, willing to make those hard decisions. Like, you know, sucks to say. I mean, some art fucking sucks, man. You know, and like, a lot of us can all agree on that. But, you know, the whole aspect of decentralization, you know, and all that kind of like keeps people from almost speaking the truth. I feel like it's like it's like a reverse effect or something, because the whole thing I thought about decentralization was it was going to be, you could say what you want, and you know, you won't get censored and all that, and it's great. But like, when people look at it, I don't think they really want that. You know, it doesn't function very well, and it doesn't scale quite yet. You know, so I feel like what's going to happen is literally like we're just going to see a lot of centralized things going on, but still on the back end of it, we'll still have the capability of, you know, decentralizing it hopefully in the future or something like that. But I'm no technical professional or, you know, developer or anything like that. So don't quote me on anything.
The way that I kind of think about it and see it, I mean, there's a couple parts. Like, first of all, people are trying to be on the same side as everyone right now. And I feel like there's a lot of like positive reinforcement, just like, hey, just keep creating, keep doing your thing, as opposed to like really critiquing. And with that, I feel like a lot of quality control is really slipping, I think. But I mean, that's towards that shared purpose of building out like these marketplaces, like into something that is like self-sustaining, attracting people to come through. So I kind of fully expect more of a critical kind of culture to begin to arise. I think you're starting to see some fractures between certain artists in their views on like Bitcoin or like how decentralized things should be. I see more artists starting to voice some of the same things that you said. Like, hey, like we live in a world that's based on centralized governments. Like there's certain norms and practices that most people are accustomed to that are starting to kind of rub against one another and create this sort of friction where like a more heated debate can arise from. So I think that is coming. And to your point on just like the KYC part, I feel like legibility is really important. And like as a buyer or seller, like just seeing like the 0x like Ethereum address, it's so like it's not helpful. But like the ENS name systems coming through, I feel like people are going to be sticking with the same addresses more or less frequently, so that people will become more familiar with people online, and like that digital identity aspect will kind of come into its own. Maybe not the same way as it has in the offline centralized world, but in a way that people feel more comfortable with. And people joining the space, they'll start to recognize those similarities, even if there's obviously distinct differences over in the digital space. That's just like how I personally see it. I have no idea what's going to happen though either. We're all just like kind of throwing grass in the wind and see where it goes.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree with you on a lot of those things. I just think I think it's just all part of the growing pains of the community and all that. And the thing that you said about the ENS domain names, and people using more of the same address, people start to come together a little bit more in a more positive way. I noticed recently some people, I don't know, have their own thoughts or whatever about how things are growing in the market. But
do you want to say anything more specific on that point? I feel like we need to add spice to these conversations. Like, you don't have to call anyone out by name, but like, let's talk about that.
So, for example, like, there's some people out there, some crypto artists that are just, hey, I'm going to mint 500 pieces of artwork today. Cool. No one's stopping you. But why? Why? I've only maybe minted, I can't even tell you, maybe like 20 pieces, 30 pieces at the most, over the last two years. And the thing is, every time I mint something, I don't think people are like spending enough time on quality control and stuff like that, or like, why am I really minting this? Or, what am I doing that for? A lot of crypto artists out there just, realize that there's an opportunity, and I don't blame them for, taking advantage of that. But at the same time, we got to like sit back and realize, what are we trying to grow here? What are we doing as a community? And, I feel like, even myself, I'm not going to lie, in the beginning, I was like, fucking hell, man. I can start minting tokens of my art, and, I can sell them, and I can make fucking money and all this shit. And it's like, after a while, I was like, I had to sit back, and it's like, am I growing as an artist, or, am I growing as a curator, or, a collector, any of that? It's like a lot of people we're still in that phase of where we should, really sit back or look in the mirror and understand why we're actually doing those things, or why we're tokenizing so much. It's obvious we need to fill the market. So if when the people come in, they have something to buy. They have variety, they have choice and stuff like that. But sometimes it just gets a little like, geez, like, slow down a little bit, and like, I can't stop anybody from doing anything, But another thing I noticed in the crypto art world is, when you say crypto art, does that automatically mean, any artwork that's tokenized on a blockchain? Or is crypto art that's themed or stylized with crypto, influences? And, there is no definition of what crypto art is right now. And, the whole crypto world and all that, every time we say crypto, people are like, fuck that shit. If they're not in here, if they're not in this, world, they're like, dude, leave me alone. So I feel like, me personally, I'm like balancing trying to, be an artist while still trying to figure out ways of bringing more people into the space,
No, those 2 points, an artist output. There are a lot of people who believe that you need to be prolific, and that they feel like it's okay to tokenize everything. And that's the one camp. But then the other camp is where you are, and where I don't really mind that much either way, but if I were actually like, if I had an artistic bone in my body, I would definitely be in your camp too. I would be limiting the output. I would be focusing more on quality, not necessarily like limiting my output in terms of what I'm doing in private or sharing on sites like Scent or whatever. But just like the actual tokenization aspect, I would for sure be err on the side of minting much less. But that's just, I guess I'm more conservative that way. But that's a debate that I think is going to keep raging because, like you mentioned earlier, the tools that we're all using now, these digital tools, they allow for just such a massive output, so much easier than anyone could with using traditional means, right? So it's really going to be interesting to see what becomes accepted heading forward. Is it the people that are tokenizing everything that they do, or is it the people, the artists like yourself and several others that are being more conservative and selective in their approach to what they tokenize? That's going to be a huge one. And I mean, what do we call this? That's also another one. I talked with A Lot of Money and Da Vinci, and there's definitely those two categories. There's the art that is all about like using the signs and the symbols of like Bitcoin and Ethereum. But then there's other art that has like no connection with that outside of the fact that it's being tokenized. And I think we're all struggling for like proper nomenclature here. I don't know what to say. I say crypto art just because it is like a totally different space. I don't necessarily want to like emphasize the symbols or the signage or anything like with the particular blockchains or whatever, but just like setting it aside as a very distinct part of art, just with the tokenizing part. But I feel like tokenized art sounds corny and cheesy. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. I mean, like I said, with the whole crypto art thing, how I said, we got to get away from the crypto thing. I guess when the way you just said it, it does, give it that specificity of that it's in this space. So I don't know. I guess it would be a tough one. I mean, people still got to figure out what ETH is first and all that.
Yeah. But dude, so we have to talk about Scent. I know you. I like how you come on in like bursts and you're hyper creative on Scent, and then you like to kind of pull back. And I'm sure like you're so busy in life, everyone's busy in life. But then you come back on. Like I really like that approach. I think there's a lot that people can learn from that, and just in terms of their own creative style, like reevaluating things and thinking through what you're doing. But what's your kind of overall take on where Scent's at today compared to where it was when you joined? I think it'd be cool for people to hear that sort of perspective.
Yeah, Scent. Yeah, like when I first found Scent, I got on there and I was like, all right, what is this? I started seeing people just having all these posts on here, and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna post something. What did I post? I posted some little illustration I did with some, like some Coinbase link or something, and it got like 20 cents, and I'm like, whoa, like this is freaking crazy. Like you can just, get money for posting stuff, and I'm like, all right. So, in the beginning, I was just posting just random stuff, like crypto stuff. I wasn't doing my art yet, and once I started posting my art, one seed on my art was just enough to be like, I'm sold. Like, it was just, I can't even explain it. It was just something that just took over. And like, as soon as I got that first seed on my art, the money never mattered ever again. I don't know why, but, the first year on there, I enjoyed it. It was amazing. I kind of just took a break from it because I was never used to that much engagement. Like I never had that many comments on anything, and it's just like, yeah. So, to me personally, it's helped me grow like a shit ton with like, just like skill sets that you need for like almost anything, but in particular, like entrepreneurial skills. There's so many like people on there that are just putting out like information and, you know, all their knowledge and their wisdom that you're not going to find anywhere else, because no one feels safe to post it there, or they want to copy the status quo of another social site. The way I see Scent, I totally see Scent literally being the next social media. It's just the fact that people have to like get in here and realize what it is, and then you have to like kind of like de-learn. For example, like when you get money on a post, it's like totally different. Like most people are used to those likes or, you know, comments or retweets and stuff, but like people got to realize that the money doesn't matter.
I think it was 127 kilograms that put it like this. Is like, come for the ETH, stay for the network. Like, you came here, everyone wants to earn ETH, right? But then I think you put it really beautifully. Like that experience of getting that first seed or tip or like earning that bounty. It's like, boom, that's crazy. That never happened before. But then after that, the monetary aspect takes second seat to all the other interactions that are going on almost. It's really interesting. And I totally agree. Like there's so much to de-learn from everyone else's experiences and how their views of what like social networks should be and how they've been informed by all these other networks. I totally agree with you on that point. And you put it really well.
Yeah. And to touch back on, you know, like how you were saying how I kind of come in burst and, you know, and then I kind of disappear a little bit. That's kind of like always been my nature, you know, in particular. But at the same time, it's like one of those things when there's money involved on there, it's like it can almost make it addictive in a way. And what people don't understand about that is like, if you don't look at yourself and you're not self-aware, you can get lost in that like feeling of, oh, I didn't get, 20 cents on this, or I didn't get $1 on this post, and, I think a lot of people might take that as like, discouragement, but for me, it's just like, fuck, dude, go make some better fucking content or something. It's not any problem to me. I a lot of times on Scent, I get, when I post, art and I'm like, tell me what you feel about it. Y'all can tell me it fucking sucks. You can tell me it looks like shit. I mean, it's, a lot of times I think the community itself, I mean, we're all positive. We want, a good culture and all that. But at the same time, some people, like, I feel aren't being honest, I catch myself on there sometimes, I'm honest all the time on there, but a lot of times I catch myself being almost too nice about some things or something. And like that money, the aspect of the money just, it can make you feel or act a different way than yourself. A lot of times the reasons I'm taking breaks on there is mainly to like let comments fill up so I can come back and just do work. I look at Scent as just like it was said, like income from anywhere, man. I mean, that's what we're trying to grow it to. So Scent is something else. I mean, I'll probably be on there for as long as it's around. And like I said, I really, truly think that it's going to take off. It's just going to have to work some things out, I guess.
And then, well, before we wrap up, I know that your current series that you're working on, the Full Melt series, is awesome. But are there any other projects that you'd like to plug, or you want to let our audience know where they can find and scoop your work?
Yeah, the Full Melt thing I'm working on right now, that's going to be all of that is going to be minted on Known Origin. And I just minted number 6. And that collection that's just going to keep going. It could stop at, my goal is 20, but I have real creative passion for that style, and it just comes so naturally. So that collection is just going to be continuous, but there's going to be some small breaks in between. I really love, 3D and all that. I just dedicate all my time to leveling up my artistic skills. If anybody's looking for my art, you can find some on Super Rare, Known Origin. I have a few on Digital Art Chain. I don't know if anybody uses that anymore. And you can always find me on Scent. I might not be here every day, but I will be in a little bit more often. So
Cool, man. Well, dude, thank you so much for your time. And it was awesome. We went to a lot of places I wasn't expecting to go, but like your insights they're awesome, man. Thank you so much.
yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thank you too.
All right, man. Well, I'll let you get back to your night. So take it easy and keep creating.
Hell yeah, man. You have a good one.